Anything on? Good morning and welcome to the Sunday Morning Sports Podcast. I'm BA along here with Jack Hirsch, James Martin, and Keith Engel. I hope you gentlemen are doing very good this morning. It was a very exciting day in March Madness yesterday. Well, for some teams and for some people. Can't name everybody on this panel.
Not for me.
Yeah.
I'm going to be watching reruns of Leave It to Beaver this rest of this tournament.
So when we first start off here, we're going to first start off. The number one seeds got it done yesterday. Number one seed Duke blew up in the second half over TCU after it was a little bit of a struggle there with TCU. But Cameron Boozer, I'm sorry, not his dad. Cameron Boozer came in there and just wrecked it in the second half. So Duke looked like they got back on the road to getting their job done as getting to the championship. Michigan also outlasted is not the word. They destroyed St. Louis. And you got to remember something. St. Louis is like the second best defensive team in the NCAA this year. And Michigan just said, okay, whatever.
They got out. That game got out of hand late, though. It wasn't really that big a blowout. I mean, it ends up being that, obviously. But St. Louis gave a tussle for 30 minutes ish.
Yeah, like I said, the teams are pretty well matched up.
Yeah,
they do the same kind of thing. In fact, both coaches are really close tied together, and they know each other's players and their systems and everything. So it was really, but for the Michigan to even beat them by 20 points, and that was the second ranked defense. I mean, that tells you a lot about Michigan right now. Cameron Boozer had 19 points, 11 rebounds, 4 assists, 3 steals, and a block in their win for Duke. I watched that game. I was watching like game to game to game. What impressed you about the Duke win mostly?
I think they got back to Duke basketball. Siena kind of took them out of their game, I think, in game one. And maybe it was a wake-up call, but I think they got back to their game, getting the ball to their playmaker and also points in transition where they didn't get them against Siena until very late in that game. They seemed to have their way with TCU once they got rolling. It was close for a bit, as you said. But I think Duke played their game more than getting sucked into the other team's game like they did in game one. Or for the better part of game one. So Duke's, sometimes you need a wake-up call, and I think they got one.
Well, they were up only 4 points at the half, and I wonder what they were thinking. But Duke reminds me of a team, once they put their foot on the accelerator, they never looked back.
Hey, listen, TCU had played good basketball, too. They're playing in a good conference. It's not a bad team, right? This isn't a Cinderella-type team. Well, maybe TCU would be a Cinderella if they moved on. But Jamie Dixon's been a coach for a long time, and he's underrated. And, he has a team ready to play. But when you're outmanned as much as you're outmanned against Duke, it's going to be tough.
But they unraveled. TCU unraveled. They got to the point where they couldn't make a shot.
Yep.
And the ball movement wasn't what it was in the first half.
Well, Duke did an excellent job to adjusting at halftime, and they came out with a different kind of passion. So it kind of, like they said to me when they came out, it was like, you know what, I'm not holding Siena's game over our heads and letting TCU try to get in our heads. We're just going to go out there and bang them, and that's it. You know what I'm saying? So, and they did a very good job. That Cameron Boozer came out there and played like the player he is. As far as Michigan is concerned, it seems like the Stars stepped up this in this yesterday's games. Yaxel Lindenberg had 25 points, 6 rebounds, 1 block, and assist in Michigan's win. I thought it was pretty funny at one point that they were up like I think 13 or like 11 points, and they came out with a full court press on St. Louis. And it's like, we ain't gonna have no more comebacks in this game, buddy. We're eliminating that stuff right there. So, and he did that. It was just one possession. He did that, and it was like, wow, and it changed the tone. It did change the tone of the game from that point on. So,
I like Dusty May a lot. By the way, Dusty May's nobody talks about Dusty May. I mean, he took Florida Atlantic to the Final Four just 4 years ago, not long ago, just before he got the Michigan job. And Michigan, well, Juwan Howard had a couple decent years. That team, that program was in a mess when he got there, and he's got it back on track pretty quickly. So, kudos to him.
Yeah, he did a good job in that on that team there, getting them to there. And then other teams that we had. Well, should I bring this in here? Well, let's see. Let's do this one. Number 2, Houston destroyed Texas A&M. I mean, they absolutely destroyed them.
Yeah,
and that's why I picked them to be my team that wins it all, because they're a good team.
They just may. I mean, that freshman is unreal.
They play great defense. They play great defense. And with my team out, I will root for Calvin Sampson now to win the national championship. He's been close here the last few years and hasn't been able to get over the top, but this team play. They run into stretches where they can't put the ball in the basket, though, and that's what they have to avoid here. You know, especially if they get deeper and playing better teams.
Well, you know, it makes me, whenever you hear Houston, and I'm not going to go into the past, you think of Vice Slammer Jammer, the way they lost to NC State. Are you better off, this Houston team or any team, completely dominating through the tournament until you get to the Final Four? Are you better served the way Duke has been, in somewhat of a tough game, for part of the game at least, half the game into the second half? Are you better served with these tough games? Does it get you ready, when you have the ultimate game, if you get to the championship game? Better to blow a team out or better to have the tough games?
They're going to have a tough game next round, I can tell you, because they're not blowing Illinois out by 30 some points. Mm-hmm. Illinois got a good basketball team, and maybe you're going to get there, Brian, but
they'll probably beat Illinois by double digits, though. Maybe not a complete blowout, but they probably beat them in double digits.
Illinois got one of the best offensive teams in this conference or this tournament, and I would not count Illinois out of this game. I think this will be a very close game. There's going to be some really good matchups in the Sweet 16. Matchups you would expect to see in the Elite Eight more often than not. Duke, for instance, is going to get St. John's or Kansas in the Sweet 16. So Duke's got a really tough, sorry to backtrack there, but Duke's got a tough road to get just.
I was going to ask you.
I mean, they've got Kansas or St. John's next. They're probably going to get Michigan State after that in the regional final. That's a tough road. That's probably the toughest road, I think, that I see.
That's the toughest bracket, most definitely.
Yeah. UConn's there, too.
And UConn's in that. Yeah, UConn's there. If they can get by Michigan State, they'd be waiting. So they're 2 seed. It's a tough bracket for sure.
Yeah. Also, we have what's the other one? Okay, yeah, Detroit. Unfortunately, there was a couple of these games in there. Texas upset number 3 Gonzaga. Hey, you got to give it to Texas. Texas is, I would say, Texas is the Cinderella, because they were one of the first 4 teams in. So I would say that's your Cinderella right there.
Yeah, though, if you're a power conference and Texas has been to Final Fours and whatnot, I have a hard time in this individual tournament, I guess you can say it. But overall, do I feel like they're Cinderella? I mean, they're the only thing close to it, because of the 8 teams already moved on. They're all 1, 2, 3, or 4 seeds. So they played, you're probably going to see the same thing today. Cinderella as a ruler, kind of dead.
I'm going to tell you.
You know,
The Texas Gonzaga game had no ebbs and flows. It seems like Texas was up 4 to 6 points all game. That's what it
Yeah.
seemed like. And then at the end, Gonzaga has a mini surge where they're like 1 point down with 35 seconds to go. You figure Gonzaga gets a stop. They're going to have the last shot of the game to pull it out, and Texas hits a 3-pointer. Gonzaga misses a shot. Texas takes it down and scores, and suddenly the game is over, literally over, at the end in the snap of a finger. And once again, Gonzaga disappoints in the NCAA tournament. It's like a tradition, Gonzaga disappointing.
And they're making Texas is making a mockery of my. I don't want to see the 8th and 9th best team in the conferences play because they're playing pretty good basketball. And Sean Miller doesn't want to be called a Cinderella. He said too, "Don't call us Cinderella. We got a good basketball team." So it's not Cinderella in the sense that St. Peter's was a Cinderella a few years ago. It's just
Well, I mean, it's not a small school Cinderella. No, it's relatively big.
11 seeds are 11 seeds. So
Right,
your behinds didn't do enough to get in the actual tournament. You had to have a play-in to get in the tournament. So you're a Cinderella. I don't care what you say.
But sometimes they don't know what to expect when some of these teams get off to a good start. We saw it happen with Siena against Duke, Hofstra against Alabama. These kids are playing their heart out early in the game. But eventually class tells, you run out of gas, the excitement, I hate to use the word, the momentum and the fatigue, it all sets in. It's set in with Siena, it's set in with Hofstra. You could hang with these teams for a while. But yesterday with Texas, that was an example, they kept it going the whole game.
Yeah. Kudos to them.
Yeah. And Arkansas, it survived a scare against High Point. High Point came there to play. They weren't BS. They came there to play.
Again,
I think that threw Arkansas off.
There's no moral victories, right, Jack? But when you're High Point and you're got here, that's kind of a moral victory in a way. If there's going to be a moral victory, a High Point coming that close to getting to the Sweet 16 that was a good showing for them. They look like you can't put that team away. I kept thinking Arkansas, and they looked like they were going to pull away a few times late in that game, and High Point would just bounce right back. They're quick. They move the ball well. They're fun to watch. And I think their coach might not be there next year, by the way. He may have a new job.
Either you're saying that High Point can go away with some high points?
Yes, they can go away with some high points. Yes.
The cliches continue. And also, we had Nebraska beat Vanderbilt, which is, if you look at the score and you look at their seeding, that's probably how it should have been, 74-72. But I thought Vanderbilt didn't bring in any they didn't play very well in this game, even though they kept it close. I just don't think
that was a very close game. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think they just brought all of it out. I was kind of upset about that whole situation.
But I got to give kudos to Nebraska because, again, they're a higher seed, but this is a team that had never won an NCAA game before 2 nights ago, and here they are now. 16, so first time there. Kudos to Fred Hoiberg. He's done a great job there.
And it was all over the sportscasts. Any way you look, that heave past midcourt that rimmed in and out. I imagine that went in.
That would have been amazing.
Vanderbilt would have advanced. The narrative changes. Remember years ago when Duke won the national championship, Butler, has a half-court shot that just barely missed. Imagine that went in. Imagine the narrative now, how we look back at Butler being a national champion and Coach K may be making a strategic mistake in that game. But it didn't happen.
That was close too. Gonzaga got to a final with almost a half-court shot from Suggs here just not that many years ago too. So it happens.
And MSU with their 17th Sweet 16 with Tom Izzo got in there and they outlasted Louisville. That was a really good game too. It was like it just had its moments where it looked like Louisville was going to come out there and bust them in the mouth, and then MSU just came back. Jeremy Fears,
16 assists.
Yeah, at 16 assists, he's became the first Big Ten player with 10 or more assists as he recorded, because Magic Johnson had four games in the NCAA tournament where he had that many assists. So, and he's had 26 in each of his 2 games total, and he led the nation in assists as well. He at 9.2 assists per game. So it's not like this is nothing new to him. Him and the guy from Purdue. The guy from Purdue also, I forgot what his name is. He had a really good game Friday, but he had a lot of assists too. He was, I think, he's the second leading assist leader in the national tournament or in the national.
Fears typical Tom Izzo point guard, and this is a typical Tom Izzo team. They aren't flashy, right? They just go out and they all know their jobs, and it's a workman-like, to use another cliche, it's a workman-like process for them, and they just wear teams down. And I just love to watch Michigan State play, and they're always tough this time of year, whether they're highly ranked or whether they're low. Just get in the tournament. They're always
a gritty team. They're a really.
I have a question. Jeremy Fears, his brother, Jeremiah Fears, was a lottery pick in last year's draft for the Pelicans, New Orleans Pelicans. Do you think the same thing's going to happen for this kid, or does he first round, second round?
I don't know. Sorry, I got stuff going off over here. I don't know what the hell. I got all kinds of noise coming at me. I don't know why. Technologically challenged this morning. I don't know if he'll be a lottery pick. He'll be a first round pick, obviously, but I'm not sure if he'll make the lottery or not. There's a lot of guys in this tournament are going to move up and down those first 7 picks, let's say. What's the lot? What would be considered a lottery? Like, this is 7? I don't remember.
1 through 7.
Yeah. I think there's guys moving up and down that 7, 1 through 7, like almost every game. It seems like it changes, right? And he's got a shot of being a lottery pick for sure. He's a good player, and he had some struggles at Michigan State early on, even early on in the season. But he's really, really growing into his own game, if you will.
James, his brother may have hurt his stock a little bit because now he's coming off the bench. He's been a little disappointing after getting off to a good start with the Pelicans, and attitude plays into it. If his brother might have a great attitude, I don't know. But if his attitude is questionable, then the mindset of these, teams is, well, maybe it's a family thing. They might be a little more reluctant, and he could slip a little in the draft for that reason.
Well, I mean, in true form, he kind of reminded me when the post-game interview came there. He was standing next to Izzo, and he made a comment about, this is Guard University, where all the good guards come from there. He's just doing his job at being a part of the guard for the team, and it's about the team, and it's not about him. Kind of the same speech that Mateen Cleaves made a while back too.
I knew you were going to say Mateen Cleaves.
Yeah, so it's pretty. It's pretty funny seeing that, from the fact that Mateen Cleaves has said that before. It's almost the same speech that Fears had. So, and obviously, whatever Izzo's doing, it's being repetitive throughout every year.
Agreed.
So there's a system,
and they play with intensity. A lot of these guys get accused of, if you will, dirty play necessary. I mean, a lot of guys out of Michigan State, because of the intensity, I think that he instills in these guys their style of play. I think it might come across in a way it's not intended to be. And we've seen a lot of those guys, right, come out of Michigan State.
Yeah, well, yeah, you got my man in Golden State.
Talking about coaching. Since we're talking about coaching now, one of the teams that got eliminated, North Carolina, and all this Hubert Davis talk, either fire the guy or not. I don't want to hear they're having discussions about his coaching. What are they discussing? Either should be their coach or not. Make a darn decision, university.
You know what I think, Jack? I think that whenever
for
these teams need to fire their coach, they should have a direct line to you so you can make that decision for them. So you.
No, I'm not saying what they should do. I don't know what goes on
Or
behind
Keith.
the scenes with you, but Davis.
Him and his Aaron Boone situation.
No. I'm not
Yes,
recommending they fire him, hold on to him, even though it was ugly the way they got bounced from the tournament, blowing a 19-point lead the way they did. But, they should know whether they want to fire the guy or not. What are they discussing with him? He's not going to change. He's what he is. He did go to a Final Four. But how good a coach he is, make an evaluation and either support him fully or move on from him. But by the way, they're keeping this hanging.
That's what they're discussing. They're discussing whether he should stay or not.
I don't want to hear that. You're fired.
With him. What are they saying? Should we fire you or not? What do you think? Would you fire yourself?
He's in a tough spot. I'd give him another year. I mean, he had his best player was hurt. He did go 24-7, I think, in the regular season or something close to that. It isn't like this program has fallen apart. It hasn't been great. It hasn't been up to North Carolina standards. And as I've said a couple of times, he really it looks worse for Hubert Davis because of the success John Shire has had coming in at Duke at the same exact time, taking over for another legend, a bigger legend. There he goes again. I don't know where this is coming from.
To give him the other year in case closed, put an end to the talk. We're waiting to see whether they're going to fire Hubert Davis or not. And this has been going on for days already.
Well, they're not going to fire him during the NCAA tournament. Once he gets, they're going to wait till the tournament's over.
Fire him during the NCAA.
Nobody's going to do that. Nobody's doing that. They're going to wait.
Totally disrespectful. Yes.
You'll see guys get fired, but it's not going to happen during a tournament.
Don't care.
Just
fire him.
And they're not in the tournament now, North Carolina.
No, but you don't want to make news that overshadows the tournament, right?
They'll fire them on an off day when there's no games. I mean, there are no games after today till Thursday, I believe. So you get Monday.
I'm with Keith. I don't think he should be fired now. I mean, give him another season. Like you said, there's some injuries.
I don't disagree, James. I don't disagree. But I'm saying be decisive if you're North Carolina, what you're going to do with Hubert Davis. That's all I'm saying. Either fire him or commit to him.
You have to find a better candidate, too. You can't just fire guys. Again, I get this way with Aaron Boone, as one of you guys mentioned, James, I think. But you've got to have a better candidate. You can't just fire a guy for the sake of fire him. I get that. You've got to have somebody else in mind to fire him. Right, I've had those guys with Boone, but they're not all available anymore either. You got to have a better guy, and I don't know who the better guy is than Hubert Davis.
Get Coach Tibbs to come down to college.
Remember something too. North Carolina's always had coaches that were tied to the program, right? And they've never gone outside the program. Similar to Syracuse, they're both in kind of the same kind of bind. Syracuse has fired their coach, obviously, but they're in a little philosophical bind. They don't know whether to stay the course and keep a guy with ties to the program or move outside, which they've never done. Well, not since Dean Smith.
Yeah, North Carolina, and you got to remember, North Carolina did beat Duke during the season, so maybe it's just the fact that they're waiting to see. Maybe they're going by that kind of facts. They beat. He did have the team beat Duke. They beat Duke. Let's see how far Duke goes. If Duke goes to the national championship, we'll keep him. But if Duke gets beat by somebody else before he gets there, I don't know what they're figuring. I don't know how they put together the whole situation and how to keep him or to fire him. But
Brian James, I'm going to forget this. You guys in charge of this debate question. We won't discuss it now for the debate show. What is a greater rivalry, Duke, North Carolina in basketball, or Ohio State and Michigan in football? We won't answer it now, but keep that for the debate show. That's a tight one.
That's a good one.
That's a good question.
Yeah.
So on today's slate, the number 2 Purdue Boilermakers are taking on Keith's number 7 Miami Hurricanes. Keith, I didn't think the Hurricanes would make it this far, but they have, and they've been playing some pretty good ball too.
They played well against Missouri, and they played well in the a lot better in the ACC than we thought. They turned this around in 1 year has been a tremendous accomplishment. They won 4 games, I think, last year. They were god awful. With that said, Purdue's playing really good basketball right now, and I don't think they're getting past this Purdue team, which is a little bit under the radar. And played pretty well late in the season. Played pretty well all year. They're a 2 seed for a reason. This should be a good basketball. I don't think this game's going to get out of hand. No, I think Miami will keep it close. Another team that can get sloppy at times and have trouble putting the ball in the basket for stretches, but I think this will be a fun game. I think Purdue wins, though.
Anybody got anything on this game? No? Okay. The next game is number 2, Iowa State, taking on Kentucky. I think that's going to be a blowout. I think Iowa State is just too that. They're really good. I think they're another team that's kind of on, I'm not saying they're Houston, but they kind of got that same pathway where they're really strong in certain areas of their team, and it's just overwhelming when they play these teams. And I just think they're going to blow out Kentucky.
They're a better team than Kentucky. Kentucky is lucky to get by a really good Santa Clara team, by the way. That was fortunate they got themselves to overtime in that game. If you saw the end, Herb
Santa Clara should have won that game.
Timeout, and they didn't give them a timeout. That's why you got to foul. They didn't have a chance to foul. Nobody fouled there. Everybody should be fouling when you're up 3 points. You should foul every time in the last possession of the game, because why didn't give him a chance to make that shot? They didn't get in position because of the way the game played out to make a foul, and he was trying to call timeout so they could do that. I think, but for whatever reasons, all 3 officials missed him basically on the court calling timeout immediately. So anyway, Kentucky's fortunate to have gotten past Santa Clara, and I think Iowa State wins this pretty easily as well.
And then we got number 4 Kansas taking on number 5 St. John's. That'll be a really good game as well.
Not great.
I think St. John's will win that one, but
yeah, this is a Sweet 16 or even an Elite 8 type matchup. So it's odd to get it in day 2 or round 2. St. John's should win, but I will tell you, Kansas has a ton of talent. They just don't show up to play every game, and that's been Bill Self's problem the last couple of years, is getting some of these guys on the same page. Sometimes there's too much talent on a team, and not enough guys who just want to go out and play their role. And I think that's a problem here in Kansas. They could come out and play a great game, but I think St. John's is onto something. They won 20 of their last 21 games. They killed UConn in the Big East tournament. They beat everybody up in the Big East tournament. And they're playing really, really good basketball. And I think they're going to get by here. And I think they're going to get by Duke in the next round, too. So
I know Jack said he was going to be vested in this game.
Oh, yeah. I mean, the way St. John's, the opening game of the tournament, they got off to a 10-0 lead just right off the bat. And it indicated, they were ready to play. And Kansas has a chance, more than a puncher's chance, no pun intended. But Kansas has a legitimate chance of winning the game. But you kind of wonder with St. John's, in the back of their mind, are they looking a little ahead because Duke is next? And that's going to be truly a marquee game. They know how good Kansas is, but I kind of have a feeling, they're kind of like scoreboard watching, even though there's no scoreboard to watch per se. You kind of wonder.
Pitino's going to do everything he can, because they fell into this trap last year against Arkansas. The same kind of thing. They fell into the trap of looking ahead, and they got beat by a scrappy Arkansas team last year. Sorry, James. I saw you were looking to go there.
No. That's okay. I had a question for you. So I heard you say that St. John's will probably get by Duke. Do you think in the East that they're the best team, or
you mean Kansas? James, when you said
no, he's saying he's looking further down the line. He thinks that.
I think at this point right now they're a better team than Duke. With Duke without Caleb Foster, I think we've seen some of their limitations. at times already in these two games and even in the ACC tournament. Right now, if St. John's plays the way they're capable of playing, I think they're the best team in this bracket. Yeah, this side of the bracket.
Well, even Michigan State too.
Well, they don't play Michigan in this side of the bracket.
No. I mean Michigan State.
Michigan State. Yeah, I do. Yeah. Great match. Coaches coming here. I mean, look at. College basketball has always been a coach's kind of league, right? And we don't have. Jack and I talked about the new rivalry between Pitino and Danny Hurley. We got some great matchup of coaches coming up here. We got Self and Pitino. You maybe have Pitino and Izzo down the road. That's where I love those matchups, and we'll see whether it happens. Again, I'm not saying it definitely. You can look at my bracket. You can tell it's not possible. It's possible I'm wrong. St. John's hasn't been to a Sweet 16 in like 27 years either, by the way. So it's been a long time for a storied program. I mean, when Jack was in high school with Lou Carnesecca, I don't think they thought they would go this long with. Sorry.
I mean, listen, Lou Carnesecca was the coach of the New York Nets. They've changed their name so many times: Long Island Nets, New Jersey Nets, New York, Brooklyn Nets.
You look better than Lou. Lou was, when he passed at 99, you look good for 99, Jack.
I've exceeded that.
Cavaliers. Virginia Cavaliers are going up against the Tennessee Volunteers, the number 6 seeded Tennessee Volunteers taking on the number 3 seeded Virginia Cavaliers. I think this is going to be a pretty good game.
I do too. Tennessee is better than you think. Always plays good defense under Rick Barnes, and they're putting the ball in the basket a little more consistently than Rick Barnes teams have in the past. Again, my bracket is what it is. I had this team getting to the Elite Eight, actually, Tennessee. So.
Oh, Rick and his shots.
Rick used to deliver milk when I was younger. That's how far back I go. The milk, we'd have this little box outside the door. For real, the milk truck would come.
And with the block of ice.
Right.
Yeah, an ice box, right. Wow.
Yeah. That's when dogs were allowed to roam the streets. There were so many strays.
Pot lickers, that's what they call them.
And you'd have to watch where you step.
Number 1 Florida is taking on number 1 seeded Florida is taking on number 9 seeded Iowa. I pretty much think Florida's going to handle them in this game.
Should.
I was
surprised the guy would get out of the first round, actually, and played well, but I just don't feel like this should be a game.
No.
Well, Florida nearly beat Duke at the end of the season. Okay. Yeah, I mean, right. I mean, Florida missed a shot at the end of the game.
Did they play Duke? I don't remember them playing Duke.
I don't remember playing Duke either.
Yeah, right? Look it up.
Hang on.
Okay.
Duke won by 1 point.
You really have surpassed 99, Jack.
Yeah. Let's see, what region are they in? Where are they? How come I can't find them?
Well, just look at Duke's games.
I was gonna look at the other team's games.
I think that's what he's trying to find.
Yeah, I'll go to Duke's games instead. Seriously,
I think it was Iowa that took him there. You sure that wasn't Iowa State? Could have been Iowa State. I don't know.
Well, they did lose in the SEC tournament. I don't know if that's what Jack's thinking about or not, but why can't I get to their schedule? Here's Duke's schedule. Sorry.
Yeah, Florida lost to Vanderbilt.
Yeah, they didn't play
about 3 weeks ago.
Nah, they played. You said they nearly beat somebody, or what?
No, Duke won by 1 point.
Duke played. Duke has not played Florida this year. Oh, Florida. I'm sorry, you're right, but it was a while back. It was probably back in. Might have been even in January.
Right. But that showed me that Duke.
Good memory, Jack.
Because Duke was behind all game, then Duke gets the lead and they start pulling away. And Duke was like 8 points down. Now they're 8 points ahead, and you think it's all over.
But by the way,
pulling away, and somehow, it slid back. What Duke easily could have lost the game. And I made a note. I told myself, Duke can be had in the tournament. Just watching that game, the way it evolved.
Yeah, I think that anything's possible in this tournament. Yeah, because there's some strong teams in this tournament. And
who's the biggest Cinderella team left in this tournament?
Texas. There's all the other teams are like 1 through 4 seeds, or they followed form. Even today, I mean, other than Iowa, I think Iowa's the longest shot on the board today. So we've really, the Cinderellas, they're playing well, and
Utah
games.
Utah State.
Utah State would probably Utah State would be the biggest Cinderella right now. They could surprise. They're a better team than you think.
Well, it's Arizona they're playing.
But they probably won't win. No, but
a lot of people think that Arizona is the best team in the
not a good matchup. Right, Arizona's probably the most well-rounded team left here. Again, seems like you say this a lot about a lot of college teams. They have a little trouble putting the ball in the hoop sometimes. You know what I've been impressed about too, in general, just to make a general comment about this tournament, and I made a note for my own show. I'm impressed with the way I've watched teams play. I haven't seen teams just rely on 3-pointers right and left. We see a lot of ball movement, a lot of inside play, a lot of going to the hoop, and it feels like basketball more than some of the stuff I've seen in recent years, both at the pro and the college level.
I love the fact the intensity has grown. So we're seeing devastating dunks and stuff like that. I mean, I lost count of how many devastating dunks I saw yesterday, because they were just, coming in there and posterizing people. Right in their face, just bam. I was like, whoa.
Not to get off the subject in regards to NCAA tournament, but I think just to kind of answer what Keith was saying, I think it's the factor. It's the Steph Curry factor. He's getting older. He's not the same player he was, and he doesn't dominate the headlines as much. He's injured too right now. I think a lot of that is. I think you're looking at a player like SGA. SGA does not shoot a lot of 3-pointers, and he's an MVP.
Good point.
He plays mainly within the perimeter. So.
James, you're going to get a kick out of this. We were talking before who could coach North Carolina, and I was just thinking you're going to like this. Jordan has invaded Isaiah's turf over and over and over. Why not Isaiah? Coaching experience. He's been a head coach. He could let him be the head coach at North Carolina. That would rile Jordan up.
That would be the biggest troll moment. I was actually on the same page
with you on that, Jack.
Yeah.
That would be the biggest troll moment ever.
But he might do a good job. Isaiah
I'm pretty sure he would.
So that's the thing about it.
It is one of the most unlikely things ever to happen in the history of sports.
If they go outside of their own alumni, that's what I mean.
They're going to get
Isaiah should be considered.
He's an experienced coach without any really good coaching experience, by the way, because he never
had a team.
He wasn't bad as a head coach.
He was horrible in New York.
Yeah, but when he coached Indiana, he wasn't bad really with the Pacers.
If I'm a North Carolina fan, the last thing I want is that.
I'll give you
a dark horse. If they fire Hubert Davis, I'll give you a dark horse. And he's outside the program for sure. And he's coaching today. Nate Oates is a guy that I would watch in North Carolina if they were to make a change. Because I think they want an experienced guy. I don't think they're going the inexperienced route like they did with Hubert Davis. It's not going to be an assistant. It's going to be somebody experienced. I hope they don't.
I think a lot of college programs are doing that now. Like Michigan steered away from that, having to go.
Maybe one of the coaches from the smaller schools that were in the tournament.
You got Jeff Van Gundy out there.
You might watch. Nah, they're not going to go for a guy that old. I don't think either, Jack. Ageism is a real thing in sports.
Mark Jackson has been wanting to get into coaching, for years.
To James' point, they could look right in state at High Point. It's possible.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
you gotta have. You gotta have.
There goes that man.
You gotta have some kind of touch with the players there, Jack. You can't be 99 and trying to coach the players.
Like Jeff Van Gundy, it relates to players. Come on. Doesn't matter the age. I mean, there's a certain wisdom. If he was up to it health-wise, someone like Coach Pop, you put him in any program, he relates to the players great. I mean, look at the Fab Five with Steve Fisher, how great they related to him for the most part. Jalen Rose absolutely loved him. It's all how you relate to someone. Doesn't matter the age or your background, your ethnic group, etc.
Steve Fisher was a lot younger than Jeff Van Gundy at that point in time, by the way. And Van Gundy's got no college experience either. It's all in the pros. I don't remember a pro coach going and being really successful. Larry Brown, I guess, is the one guy who had success going from the pros to college. I can't think of a guy other than him.
And I don't know if Jeff Van Gundy is in shape enough to grab ankles anymore of the players.
I mean,
favorite basketball fight ever. Well, not the outcome.
Well, number 2, UConn is taking on number 7 seeded UCLA. That'll be a pretty good game too. UCLA is probably better than publicized, to tell you the truth. But I still think I heard Keith say that UCLA might take this as an upset over UConn. I can almost see that. I like them to have I picked them to move forward here in my bracket that's dead. But I'll stick with UCLA today. This is a team that's played well late in the year. They haven't played well away from home on the road, but neutral courts maybe are a little different than true road games. And I think they were like undefeated, I think, in Pauley Pavilion this year, maybe one loss, but didn't play well on the Big Ten on the road. But lately, they played pretty well in the Big Ten tournament without winning it. But you're going to get a great post-game press conference from Mick Cronin, whether they win or lose. So you got that to look forward to.
Guys, I like to put go ahead, James.
No, I was just going to say, you don't see UConn having any shot in this?
No, they definitely have a chance here. But Danny Hurley's just a great coach, and they're a talented team. But they've had some struggles the last month of the season, but they're still a second-ranked team. We talked about St. John's, and St. John's really got screwed with a 5 seed, having to go out west to play while they're playing in the East bracket. They get sent out west if they're in the pod system. I just don't get. UConn.
That's the Rick Pitino effect.
Yeah,
nobody likes Rick Pitino.
I'm sure. And that leaves them open for a Kansas matchup in round 2. But UConn, and they're in the same bracket, by the way. Don't forget UConn and St. John's. So they could end up playing in the Elite 8 again. That'd be interesting. Now, I'm not saying they don't have a chance today. Danny Hurley's too good a coach, and they get too much talent to set a.
I'm telling you what's going to happen right now before anyone else has mentioned it, and then I'll tell you later on in the future. I told you so. If the Knicks don't at least bare minimum get to the Eastern Conference Finals, bare minimum, Mike Brown's going to get fired. The next Knicks coach is going to come out of the Big East. It's either going to be Hurley or Pitino. That's who's going to be coaching the Knicks next year. Because they're both local, they won't have to upgrade, their families, themselves, etc. One of those two, Hurley or Pitino, is going to be the Knicks coach, and I don't see Hurley turning it down for anything because it's local. It'll go over well with his wife, her parents are nearby, the whole thing. It's not a Lakers situation, and it's kind of been a dream of his to coach in the NBA. So if Connecticut gets bumped, 2 in this tournament, they don't go all the way or whatever, I doubt if they're going to go all the way. You're talking about the next Knicks coach, unless the Knicks at least get to the Eastern Conference Finals and lose maybe a tough 7-game series that might save Mike Brown. But Mike Brown will be gone if they don't for one of those guys.
The first part of that I agree with, the Mike Brown part. It's possible he'd be one and done if they really go out quickly. I don't agree with the other. Pitino's not coming back to the NBA. If he goes anywhere, it's going to be a higher profile.
He has unfinished business. He didn't succeed really with the Celtics in the Knicks.
Finish. And Danny Hurley, I think, would be a disaster in the NBA. That's John Calipari 2.0 if he comes to the NBA. I think. Just my opinion. And I'll tell you, I told you so later, too.
Coach Cal is probably the Knicks B plan in the event they move on from Mike Brown.
Now, Hurley might want to upgrade his family, so he might want to go to the NBA to upgrade his family. So I love that's a great line. Don't forget that, Jack, because I know you misspoke, but it's very funny. A very funny line I'll give you from Last Man Standing, which is one of my favorite sitcoms ever. Tim Allen as Mike Baxter. He said, "The more money you make, the better looking family you can buy." So
there you go, upgrade.
No, I mean you need new challenges. And Hurley's won a couple of NCAA titles. I mean, when he was going for 3 in a row, that was motivation enough not to go to the Lakers. Okay, but you're never going to get to 3 in a row. And I can see that's a dream of his.
He doesn't feel like an NBA coach to me. He just doesn't. It doesn't feel like a good fit. Could be totally wrong.
I got to rewind a little bit here. I mean, you guys talking about Mike Brown getting fired. I mean, after one season, and if you say, Jack, in the first round he gets taken out or something like that. He
doesn't at least go to the Eastern Conference Finals. People are going to be so darn disappointed if they don't make a serious run at the end.
But who do you blame? You blame Mike Brown, or do you blame the organization for what they did previously to hiring Mike Brown?
Correct.
But that's the thing about the organization. If they fire him, it's because they hired him. So they're going to cover that whole situation up by firing him because they're like adjusting.
And to go further to the point of what Jack said about taking one of these, if I'm one of those coaches, why would I want to come into that situation? Why would I even want to come into the situation?
Everyone wants to coach. Everyone wants.
Come on, there's no way.
I think Mike Brown. No way. For the record, I think Mike Brown's a decent coach. I'm not putting Mike Brown down, but the Knicks are going to have to make a bold move in the off season if this year ends in disappointment. And the bold move is going to either be make a major deal for Giannis, where there are going to be a lot of moving pieces, where the face of the team is going to change, or do it the simple way, bring in a high-impact coach.
They have to make the final to prove that they were right and that Tibbs was needed to go. If they don't, they were wrong in making this move at all. That's what
at least Eastern Conference Finals, Keith. I mean, if they get eliminated that way to the Celtics, or the Pistons have kind of lost a little in with Cunningham out.
Yeah.
But they
haven't lost a little bit. They've won 2 games straight. What are you talking about?
No, but the Pistons will clear favorites.
They'll be back
out of the East at one point this year. That's no longer.
That's a Knicks fan talking. They just hope that happens. Anyway, the last game of today will be the much maligned Alabama Crimson Tide, number 4 seed, going against the Texas Tech. Going against Texas Tech, which is the number 5 seed. You think that Texas Tech might finally get Alabama's foot there? Because Alabama's been playing with a lot of stuff behind them.
They have.
I know that's got to be weighing on those kids out there too.
And Texas Tech really stepped up, and I thought they were going to be an upset possibility in the first round. Akron gave them a little bit of a run for a while, but not for long. Texas Tech has lost their best player. Another team, a lot of teams playing without their best players here. Michigan has overcome the loss of their star and played well. And Texas Tech right now, 1 game into this tournament, has done that. I think Alabama beats them today. I really do.
Okay. I like that.
And I think the guy who got arrested for them, I think, is back playing. I don't know if he was suspended for the tournament. I think he was just suspended for a game. I didn't know you got arrested for marijuana anymore in this country. I'm surprised.
Yeah, really.
You know,
that's kind of.
What state was it that he got arrested in?
I want to say Alabama, but I'm not positive.
Them Bamas.
Well, if it was in Alabama, that's why it was maybe 1 game because the tournament's going on.
Was Alabama a red state? I'm not trying to put politics in it, but there's usually Republican states don't have.
It's a crimson state.
It is a crimson state, kind of purple.
That's a good one. I like that. All right, so we're going to get in some NBA. Jack wants to talk about 1 game in particular. We're going to run down the games that were last night. OKC Thunder beat the Washington Wizards 132-111.
11 straight.
Yeah, they're rolling. I mean, like the top 3 teams in that conference right now are just playing out of their mind. Memphis goes down to the Charlotte Hornets, 124 to 101. That's Sonia's team. I'm just going to put that out there. Cleveland Cavaliers beat the Pelicans, 111 to 106. The Houston Rockets edged the Miami Heat, 123-122. Kevin Durant surpassed Michael Jordan for 5th on the NBA's all-time scoring list. Look at that. Indiana Pacers lost to the San Antonio Spurs, another team that's on a roll, 134 to 119. And Golden State lost to the Atlanta Hawks, who have won their 12th game in a row, 126 to 110. The LA Clippers beat Dallas in overtime, 138 to 131. 76ers beat the Utah Jazz, 126 to 116. The Milwaukee Bucks beat the Phoenix Suns, 108 to 105. And last but not least, Jack had something to say about this game. The Lakers overcome the Orlando Magic, 105 to 104. LeBron James passes Robert Parrish for most regular season games played in NBA history. What you got on this, Jack?
Yeah, I mean, that was an intriguing game. Luka got kicked out of the game. It was his 16th technical foul. Now he's on a 1-game suspension because reportedly Luka was talking in his home country's language, muttering about the other player's mother, not realizing the other player understood what he was saying. So the other player said something about Luka's mother, and it, a little scuffle ensued, and the other player apologized, saying Luka didn't realize he understood what Luke was saying. So that's the height of immaturity, when you start talking about families. Come on, get out of here. But this game was intriguing. I mean, the Lakers had a 7-game winning streak. It looked like the Lakers were going to get edged out at the end. Ayton goes to the foul line, and 5.5 seconds left, and the Lakers are down 2 points. So whether you should hit the rim or not, make the shot, and then foul, the Lakers did have a couple of timeouts left, but they elect to hit the rim. Orlando gets the rebound, and the way it was worked out, you don't hit the rim on a low line drive because the ball's not going to come back. But that's a fundamental they should work on. So now Orlando calls their last timeout. They get the ball in half court, like with 4.5 seconds left to go. The ball's thrown in, and LeBron makes a great play. You know what I mean? And the ball goes out of bounds. But the problem is there's incidental contact on the ball. And to me, it wasn't clear. The ball was called as the Lakers' ball, but it did look like it was off on LeBron. And you keep looking at the replay, and it still looks like it's off on LeBron, but they overturn it. Now it's the Lakers' ball. So they throw the ball into LeBron. He gets fouled with like 2.5 seconds to go, but they don't call the foul on LeBron. He clearly gets hacked, and LeBron's holding his hands up. He should go to the line to take his foul shots with the Lakers 2 points down. So now the Lakers, 2 points down, have the ball under their own basket. And you'd think it would go to Reeves or LeBron. No, Luke Kennard is standing outside the 3-point line all alone, no one guarding him, completely ignored. They throw it into him. He sinks the 3-pointer very confidently, and the Lakers pull the game out in Orlando. Dramatic ending. Wow. And the fundamentals with the Magic, that's why maybe they haven't lived up to expectations as far as being a team of the future in the East. I mean, they're okay, a little better than 500, but you see why that team is lacking a championship pedigree. And kudos to the Lakers, 3rd best record in the West. And now I'm starting to think maybe the Lakers could be a threat to come out of the West. Maybe we shouldn't be dismissive of them as we've been.
Shaking your head, James.
I want to be
possible. Because as much of a fan as I am of LeBron James, they have no defense whatsoever. The playoffs are a different animal. When they get to the playoffs, they're going to see what it's like. I mean, we saw this in the past. This movie, we've seen this movie before. They look good in the regular season offensively, but Luka has no defense. Austin Reeves has no defense. LeBron James at his age has no defense, or at least in endurance to be definitive with his defense at the end of a series. I just don't see it.
When they step up, but when those guys decide they're going to step up and really want to play defense, they can. Luka's been doing it at times this year. LeBron made a great defensive play yesterday at the end of the game.
Oh,
he did.
Not a fan.
He did.
In spurts.
So,
sorry, Keith, go ahead.
Jack and I talked a little bit about this on Friday, and I see a little, and I'm not saying they're going to win the championship. They're a better team than they were early in the year. And there's a couple of factors. I see a subtle change in LeBron in stepping back and understanding he's not the man anymore. He's playing more to Luka and to Austin Reeves, I think. He's not shooting the ball quite as much. I think he's making more of an effort on the other end of the court. You see it again in spurts. At his age, he can't play 40 minutes of hard defense. But I also think another move that hit me after Jack and I were talking about it Friday, they picked up Marcus Smart in the offseason. And I've said this since Boston let him go. Boston hasn't won a championship since they let him go. He was a big part of that team because every team needs a guy who goes out and does the dirty work, doesn't show up in the box score. And he's one of those guys. And he's one of those guys in the playoffs, James, that might make a difference and help that team maybe get over the top in a series. I don't know that they'll win it. I mean, San Antonio and OKC are just too good, I think. Too deep, too talented to defend for 7 games. But I think they could win a series or two because – and Marcus Smart is an underrated guy to have on that roster.
I agree with you. Marcus Smart kind of reminds me of the what was it? The bubble championship for the Lakers when they had Rajon Rondo. Rajon Rondo was that guy that really helped them turn over the tide. But he can be that guy. But I just see too much defense with OKC. I see too much defense with San Antonio. I see too much defense even potentially with Houston. But they've owned Houston this regular season, so we'll see how that goes.
They're playing better. I think they're a better team than they were earlier in the year or any part of this year right now. They've obviously won 9 in a row. So, I think he's playing
really good.
Yeah.
It's like the top 3 Western Conference teams are like, okay, I got to win this game because the other teams, 2 teams are winning, or it's a perfect flow for right now for the end of the season. So we'll see what happens.
They moved ahead of Denver.
I got it.
The race
in the West.
I got to see Austin Reeves. Like I said, I saw this movie before. Austin Reeves was awesome in the regular season. I got to see him, but he choked in the playoffs. I got to see him not choke in the playoffs, man.
That's fair.
That's it.
Other games on today's games on the NBA slate. Portland's going to Denver to take on the Nuggets. Brooklyn's taking on the Sacramento Kings. Washington Wizards are going to New York to play the Knicks. And Minnesota Timberwolves are going to play Boston Celtics. And Toronto Raptors will be playing in Philadelphia. That is your slate of games for today. Thank you for joining us. Enjoy the second part of the NCAA tournament and basketball in general. It's been great. Like I said, I knew these college games were going to be great in this tournament. I mean, it's amazing. But anyway, everybody, have a great day. We'll see you next Sunday. Join Keith in a couple of minutes for a Stream of Consciousness show. And everybody have a great day.
See you guys.